What a delight. Also, I must say, Neel has to be protected at all costs. I just want Neel to not get in trouble. Hi, I'm Amanda, or Vamp, and we are here today to do what I love doing, talk about nerd stuff, especially Star Wars stuff, which I also love doing. And we are back, baby, with a new show that I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really sure what to make of this when I saw the trailer for it. I thought it looked fun. I basically said it looked like Goonies in space, and I think it is living up to that initial assessment that I made, but in a really interesting way. This is a really interesting show, and the more I reflect on it, the more intrigued I am by it. So buckle up, baby, because although I didn't have a ton of expectations for the show, I just thought it would be a fun little thing. It is becoming more than a fun little thing. It's got intrigue, and it's got beautiful tone, and it's got great visuals. So let's talk about that. So if you didn't see any of the trailers or anything with Skeleton Crew, I'm just gonna give you the elevator pitch. It's basically Goonies in space. It's this group of kids, and they end up accidentally activating a spaceship, leaving their home planet, launching themselves out into space, and now they're lost and they don't know how to get home. And so it's all about, they just want to get home, but also, of course, adventure and shenanigans ensue. Now, also, Jude Law is in it. Important. And is maybe a Jedi? Maybe, we'll see. But from this point on, we're going to be talking spoilers because I'm going to get into a synopsis of the show. So just a heads up, we're going to go into a brief synopsis of episodes 1 and 2. Episode 1 is basically an establishing episode. It introduces us to this cast of characters. We have these 4 kids. We've got Wim, who's the main character. His whole thing, he just wants to see the world. He wants to basically save people, to be a Jedi, even though he never said he wanted to be a Jedi, but he did basically say that he wanted to be a Jedi. Yeah, I'm on Neel's side with this one. We've got Neel, who is his BFF, who is just the cutest alien friend ever, who is a kid that wants to do really well at school and has a crush on someone in his class. We love Neel. Neel is great. There's also Fern and KB, a couple of troublemakers who going around on speeders. KB is a cyborg who is really into just fixing stuff up. And then there is Fern, who's really into getting into trouble because her mom seems like a pretty big stickler. So that's everyone. Wim ends up in this episode trying to get to a test and failing to do so after being late for his tram, basically his space bus to school. And in the process, he stumbles upon what he believes is a Jedi temple. Later, he goes back with Neel and finds out that Fern, who he ran into and kind of spilled the beans, she's also there with KB now, and they're claiming that this is theirs. Claimsies, a universal thing. There's the rule of 2, and now there is claimsies. And never forget, the rule of 2, the rule of 1, the rule of many. Anyways, so they end up unearthing this thing, which it turns out is not a temple, is actually a spaceship, and accidentally launching themselves out into space. Actually, really far into space, because they go into hyperdrive. They go far. In episode 2, we pick up with them, and they're trying to figure out what to do here. They end up waking up a droid who is named SM-33, who is a pirate, and Fern quickly establishes that she is the captain of this crew and manages to convince SM-33 that now this is her crew, so that droid's got to follow her orders. And SM-33 says, all right. So they end up going to a spaceport to get directions to get back to At Attan, which is their homeworld, because SM-33 has never heard of this place before. At Attan is not familiar with it. They think, of course, someone at the spaceport must know, and strangely, no one does. However, they do find their Old Republic credits that they seem to be using very valuable and interesting, because they haven't seen those in forever, and they're also in mint condition. Crazy. And these credits are just credits that Wim was given in episode 1 by his dad as lunch money, since his dad wasn't going to be around for the week and just gave Wim all of his lunch money up front. Very interesting. We also find out that At Attan is maybe a myth of a place. And then these kids get captured because obviously they have valuable credits by a group of pirates and thrown in the brig. And in the brig, who do they meet? None other but Jude Law. end of episode 2. And what an end it was. I was like, that's the end? I need to know more. Which already tells you, this is already an indicator that I'm enjoying this show. If you haven't picked up on that, even from where I've done this synopsis, I'm enjoying this show. Let's talk into a microphone and talk about why I'm enjoying this show. Visually, I think this show is doing something really interesting. Design-wise, I think this show is doing something really interesting. At Attan basically feels like the suburbs of Star Wars, which I don't think is a place we've ever really gone to. And I know for some people, I think that's going to actually be a turnoff because it's going to feel too, like, familiar for them, but it also kind of makes sense. Well, it made sense to me initially when I thought this was, you know, this is a place that is being run by the New Republic. I initially thought. Now I'm not so sure because I think they might be living in a time capsule, but it made sense that in a time of prosperity, this is the type of community you would see. Whether we're talking, you know, High Republic days, whether we're talking New Republic, it should be a time where we feel pretty safe. And this place does feel pretty safe. I also just love that it kind of has a 70s, 80s vibe to it. It's like a retro futurism, I would say, where it's spacey, otherworldly, but things like Wim's storybook that he has, it just feels like kind of an 80s vibe is what I'm picking up from it. And I think that's also really cool because when you think about when the original trilogy came out in the late 70s, I think it's cool to have something that has that feel, but still doesn't shy away from it being new and fresh and sharp. So it still feels modern, but it's still got this kind of retro vibe to it, but it's still very spacey. The other thing that I love about this is not just the style, the design, and the cinematography, but also the creatures. They really don't shy away from aliens. They don't shy away from practical effects. A lot of these aliens are people like in suits or with prosthetics and things on them, special effects that is tangible, that is real. And it doesn't just stop there. Obviously, I said this is like Goonies in space. It is like Goonies in space, but it's interesting. It's fun. It is more intriguing in these first 2 episodes than I feel like all of The Acolyte ended up being in its whole season. And I mean, obviously there were things that I still really liked about The Acolyte, so I'm not trying to say that The Acolyte is the worst. I'm just saying this is hitting all the marks, and especially in an area that I feel like The Acolyte was lacking in, which is writing here. The writing feels really strong. I can see some of the stuff that they're setting up. I mean, one of the theories that I have is that Silvo, who we see at the beginning of episode 1, when we see these pirates attack a ship that claims to be protected by the New Republic, and then we see this pirate captain Silvo overthrown. He's masked. His voice sounds like Jude Law's voice to me. So I'm pretty sure that Jude Law, who is going to be pretending to be a Jedi here, is actually captain of this pirate crew. That's my thought. But I could be wrong. It could be Jude Law's pirate evil twin brother. There could be more going on here. And the bottom line is that even though I feel like I've sussed this out, I don't think it overall matters, because it might not be that we're not supposed to know. It might be more about us kind of figuring that out and watching how these kids are maybe being manipulated by Jude Law's character, whether he's Silvo or whoever. Whatever the name he's going to go with in the show is, hasn't introduced himself formally yet to us as Jude Law, so we will find out. I'll just call him Jude Law for now. Jedi Jude Law. But the other thing is that there's more mystery than that. There's everything that's going on with At Attan, which I believe is going to be some kind of time capsule community. It's giving Fallout, it's giving Vault Dweller vibes. It's this place where ships never come and ships never leave, so that sounds like some kind of time capsule community to me. And also the fact that their credits are very old, and I don't know what the people that live there, how much they're aware of what's going on outside of the community, if this community has existed for this long, or if it could be that the community is actually run by maybe someone from the dark side. Could this be a surviving Empire community that has shrouded themselves in a name to protect the people of the community? I don't know. I'm very curious to find out what's going on with the supervisor and the great work. I think the great work or great works will be interesting. It also feels kind of culty. It's kind of got a cult vibe. I don't think people there fully know what's going on. That's my thoughts. The other thing that I love about this show is the acting from these kids that we have as our main cast. They're all so great. I love all the characters, and I honestly love the actors. I think they're doing such a great job. Neel obviously is a standout for me. Neel must be protected at all costs. I need to get him back to his crush so he can confess his love and we can see how that plays out. He's such a great character, and I love that he's also worried about his siblings. So cute. And then we have KB, who I really love as well. I love women. I also love Fern, to be honest with you, but KB and Neel are kind of standouts for me. KB I love because she's standing up for droid rights in episode 2, you know? When SM-33 was gone and I thought they were just gonna abandon that droid, she's like, but wait a minute, what about SM-33? We need to make sure that SM-33 is retrieved and repaired. And I was like, yes, you go. That's what happens when, you know, you have a cybernetic element to you. You care about droids. Droids are people too. Droid rights matter. I really just feel like we're building a lot of cool elements here, and I want to know about the secrets behind everything. What's really going on At Attan, and how will these kids get back home, and what's going on even with these pirates, and what's going on. I mean, pirates in Star Wars is so fun, and I just love getting to explore a pirate world in Star Wars and getting to explore that more. I mean, obviously, we do have, you know, rogues. We do have people that are basically pirates. I mean, I also feel like Lando has big pirate energy. I don't know. We don't really have a lot of people that just walk around in Star Wars and are like, I'm a pirate. Or, I mean, maybe we do, and I'm just not reading those books or comics or watching those projects. So let me know your favorite Star Wars pirates in the comments so I can check them out if there are a bunch and I've just like, they're just gone right over my head. But I'm very intrigued and excited by all of this. I do think the writing is great. I think they're building a lot of cool stuff already that they are establishing. One of my favorite moments is when Wim, I also love Wim a lot, when Wim says to his dad at night when he's stressed about passing this big test the next day, and he says, you know, could you read me a story like mom used to? And his dad says, oh, I don't have time tonight, but I gotta do work. And then says, you know, aren't you a little old for stories? You know, is that really like a thing still? And it's just this sadness in Wim of confronting, you know, having to grow up, having to take this big test that's going to set him down the course of the rest of his life, but just wanting to be a kid and have fun. And I just thought, man. And then later comes back again when Fern says to him sort of offhandedly, like, oh, grow up. And he just gets so frustrated at it because it's already a sore spot for him. That's already been established. That's been established in that episode. And then we brought it back up again and we added to it. We're already building so much more than some other projects have. And I really appreciate that about Skeleton Crew. It is early days, but it also does have a really tight-knit writing team. There's like 3 writers. The 2 writers are the creators. One of them is John Watts, who's also doing direction for episode 1 and episode 8, which will be our final episode. We're also going to have an episode that's directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. So there's a lot to get excited about here too in terms of this team that I feel really optimistic, like it's going to be a really good time. And I also feel like it's interesting they released it around Christmas because I think that was strategic. A lot of kids are going to be home with their families, and this is a show that I really think is great. If you have kids and you're watching this, if you are a kid and you're watching this, if you are just looking for something to watch with your entire family, no matter the age or generation, I think this is going to be that show for a lot of people, and I hope people do watch it over the holidays and love it as much as I'm loving it. I'm really loving it, if you can't tell. Ultimately, I would say for episodes 1 and 2, I'm going to give both of these episodes a 5 out of 5. These episodes are amazing. They knocked it out of the park, I think. I think they're both, I don't even know what I'd do to improve them. I think they're well-paced, well shot. The tone is great. The writing's great. The acting's great. Every element of this is awesome. It actually exceeded my expectations for the show. And now I can't wait to watch episode 3. And I hate that I have to wait so long because it's such a I just want to get right back into the story. It's a fun story. So those are my thoughts. I've probably talked too much about this, but I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Skeleton Crew down in the comments below. Are you loving it? Are you not loving it? Why not? And, you know, what are you hoping for in the future? And do you have any theories? I'd love to hear your theories. We could discuss. I love when we have a show and we can discuss our theories. That's always fun for me. All right, I'll see you down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and taking some time out of your day to be nerdy with me. I'll see you next time. And until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye!